So this is going to be another kind of DIY handyman type project. So it's winter, it's cold, it's single digits, and I've learned that there's like 16% humidity inside this building with this furnace. So we are installing the new Aprilaire 720A. This is kind of the newest model, recirculation. It kind of reuses old water type of thing. That's another discussion, whether this is a good one, bad one, good improvement, etc. But we're just going to blast through this, and it's going to be a quick DIY on how to install it. So, quick overview. Here's your furnace. If you have AC, your AC coils or evaporator is going to be in here. Filter on here is the bottom. It's a thicker filter that slides out. So you don't want to drill or mount anything anywhere in this furnace assembly. You want to find the first kind of ducting that exits, and the only spot we can put this thing is right here. So it gives you a template. You mark with marker in these holes, and that's the square you're going to cut out. Real quick, real easy. This patch we can kind of deal with or work around. We could put new screws up here after we cut this portion out, and then we'll seal it all up with silicone, caulk, or tape, whatever works best. So that's done. Now we have to cut it out with an angle grinder. Something like this will do the job. You just want to, it doesn't have to be entirely accurate. There's a little bit of play and leeway with the unit. But we're going to cut this out, and then we can fit. You always want to check, make sure there's nothing back there. If you can inspect inside, that's even better. Just to verify we're not going to cut anything vital. So that looks good. Cut this out, and then we can hang the unit, and then we'll screw it in. So it's really easy, really quick. Now, one thing I did notice is there's no cold air return really accessible because it's all... One thing I did notice is there's no cold air return accessible here. So we have the Humidistat here. This is what controls it. I like the automatic version because it has an outside temperature sensor, and it automatically adjusts based on the outside temperature and the humidity. So you don't have to constantly mess with the manual controls when it's getting colder or warmer outside. You just kind of set it, and then it'll do its thing. Now the problem is this has to be mounted inside, kind of cut out like that in here, but it has to be on the cold air side. So I can't do it here because there's a filter. I'm thinking I can do it somewhere in here, which isn't ideal, but that'll have to do because, like I said, there's no visible cold air ducting anywhere in the building. There's just vents, return vents on the ground, and then all the ducting is underground, and then it kind of pops up here. So really interesting setup, but that's what we're going to have to do. We just need that Humidistat pre-blower. So we need it, pre-filter, after filter, pre-blower, whatever. So let's get to the cutting. Alright, we've got our square cut out. This had some insulation. As you can see, it's an older ducting and, I don't know, higher quality maybe. Back in the day, this is actually insulated, so that's pretty cool. The AC is new. That's kind of a new installation. Big old coil. That all looks good. There's no like mold or any kind of growth on it. This is probably 8-9 years old now, this furnace and AC. So from here, we can simply hang the unit. There's hooks that go on the top, under here, and then you swing it down, and then it hooks on here. So let me grab it and we'll do that. Okay, as you can see, I took out the water core or hydro core. This is kind of what the water trickles down on. And then the cover, obviously. And here are the top tabs. So you do the top first under the ducting, and then you drop it into the bottom. There's two tiny little tabs on the bottom. It's kind of heavy, so I gotta probably just do this one-handed, and then I'll video once it's in. I don't know if the installation is going to pose a problem with the hooks. Hopefully I can just push it away. We shall see. Okay, we got it in. Once you get it over the ducting, you want to push the whole unit to the right. is it kind of locks it in, and then it pulls this fan unit into the duct the hole you cut. So that's it. That's the hard part. I can put away all your cutting tools and dirty stuff. And then the holes are number 8 3/4 inch self-tappers. I think there's, what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10, something like that. And then we can screw it down nice. And maybe it'll straighten out, because the weight of it's kind of pulling the ducting out. Not too big of a deal. Once it's screwed down, we can caulk around the edges real nice, or use some tape depending upon the situation. But for now, what I'm going to do is just put this back in so all the heat doesn't come out. Here you can see the drain. So this is where the extra water drains in, and I guess it somehow recycles it, so you're saving like 60% water or something like that. And then the drain is here. This drains into, your line to the drain, and here's your feed. It's a compression, I think 1/4 inch plastic or whatever it is, not PEX, but it's compression here. And then you can do a saddle valve onto, I'd recommend just using the cold. Like, there's so little difference using hot, but I can try that at a later time. But saddle valve or a T, if you already have a saddle valve for something else, you can just T into the line you already have, which is probably what I'm going to do. Run it over, hook it up, plug it in. We'll need an outlet somewhere close. Could use that temporarily. And then the transformer here, and then you tie into the furnace if you want the furnace controls and all that. We'll go over that when we get to it. Not a big deal. All the words go forward. There's your little drain, and I guess it somehow pumps it back up to the top. That's kind of cool. So it recycles it. It doesn't just drain everything, and that's the reason I got this model versus the 700 or whatever. And I didn't want the 800, the steam version, because that's like double the price. If it comes to a point where I might need the 800, fine, we'll swap it in, but for now, this is okay. And that's it. Real simple cover. And now we're sealed good enough until we can finish up. But now, like I said, we can put away all our cutting tools, the dirty stuff, and then kind of slow it down, and then just do the final steps. Okay, different furnace, I know. I'm actually doing 2 in one day here. So here's the transformer. This is for the solenoid that pumps the water or drains the water or whatever it does, recirculates the water in the drain pan. So this needs to be put into an electrical box, and white goes to neutral, black goes to, it's going to tie into the furnace switch, which is on its own breaker. And then once that's okay, and then according to the wiring, here's our wiring diagram here. We're just going to break this down into the simplest form possible. Here is our continuously powered transformer. That's what I was just showing you in the e-box. So 120 vac, that's going to what I just showed you, the black and white wire. Sorry about this light. Oh, that's actually there we go. Maybe I do. Looks like we need this because I can't, never mind. So yellow wires, there's 2 yellow wires hanging off the unit. One yellow wire goes to this transformer. The other yellow wire goes into the humidistat. So here, goes to there, goes to, what does that say? M? In. H. Okay, I'm an idiot. H. So it goes into the H. And then, man, this light is hard to read this thing. And then the other H obviously goes to the other end of the thermostat, the transformer. So this controller we need to mount, like I said, on the cold air ducting, and then the wires are here. We'll get to these when we get to them, but 4 or 5 of them are going to go to the furnace, it looks like, and then we'll have to tie in maybe one to the thermostat. So interesting, fun wiring here. Let's look at the panel. Okay, so here's our control panel with the face off. Here is our cold air return, which here's our furnace, and then you can see airflow. There's the filter in the middle. So we could put it lower here, but it makes sense to do it eye level, so probably up here or here, but I think this is a little bit better. So it looks like what I'm going to have to do is step it just so this gets through here, so it can measure the humidity in the ducts, and then our wires go here. Then we can just run those down to the furnace area, and looks like there's plenty of ports that are blanked out that we could use on that side, or there's even one on this side if we need to go through there. And then the wiring panel for the furnace is in there. We'll look at that at that point. Okay, back up to the main unit. So we've got our water line installed. It's just 1/4 inch, like refrigerator hose or ice maker hose. It's like 15 cents a foot or something like that. And then we have this going up to the saddle valve, which is in the cold water feed. Now, this has a feature where this unit will turn on the blower when there's no heat called or furnace called. So in that instance, if you want that to happen, this has to be hooked up to hot water. So we'll see how this works. If it's able to provide enough humidity, we'll leave it. If it cannot, then we will rely on this unit to turn on the actual furnace blower, but then hot water has to be going into here. So we will just see what happens. To mount the control unit, like we were talking about before, this has to be at least 6 to 12 inches upstream of the fresh air duct or the humidifier or the steam valve or whatever. It's way before that. It's way before the filter, so we're good here. And I like it in this position, kind of just like this. It's eye level. It looks good. It's not kind of on an angle down here, which I think would look kind of chintzy. So what I'm going to do is we need to drill a 3/4 inch hole right there for the sensor. Beautiful. There's our hole. 3/4 inches. This is going to fit on there. The gaskets on there is going to seal it, and that will be able to detect the humidity or lack thereof in the cold air return. So I'm going to screw this down and move on to the wiring. Perfect. That's mounted. It's level. It has some adjustment here if you need to level it. So that's cool. So now what we need to do is run some wires to the furnace and then also the transformer. So we'll get these down and we'll run them, we'll make them look good. Snake it down wherever it needs to go to look good. There's that network cable there. That's next step. Alright, we're taking a break from wiring. I've got this 1/2 inch ID drain coming right here. It doesn't need clamps. I mean, it's on there tight enough. Kind of looping down, and we're going to tee into this existing drain line right here. I was looking for a Y fitting. I think that would work actually better for this application, but I couldn't seem to find any at the hardware store. So let me get this on here. Alright, I think that'll work okay for now at least. So we've got tied into this other drain here, kind of tacky looking, but yeah, I wish I had a Y, that'd be a lot better. So it kind of loops up here and then gets to our drain. Okay, we've got our low voltage wire here to the pump. We're going to come off straight kind of and tie into the rest of these thermostat wires on the gas pipe. And then we'll go down here to the box and then we'll tie into the transformer. Little trick, keep when you strip the wire, put a little piece of plastic at the end, like strip it and then pull it to the end. That'll keep all the wires together, so when you put it around the terminal they won't fray out. Okay, transformer wires done, or solenoid wires, 2 H's here, doesn't matter which direction. One of these goes to the transformer, the other goes to the solenoid on the humidifier. Make sense? Good. Okay, here is the thermostat upstairs. Now the problem is, this is a ComfortNet thermostat. What that means is there's only 4 wires. So you have 1 and 2, and then R and C. So there's no G wire, there's nothing. So the 1 and 2 are like a data wire, or if you think of like cars, it's a CAN bus connection or LAN. Basically it's just data. And then R and C is kind of your power and ground, which powers the unit. So this doesn't have an actual like wire that tells the blower to turn on, the AC to turn on, anything like that. It's just all data. So I'm not sure how we can integrate the humidifier into this. Let me just let this boot up. Alright. Now this, you can control the humidity, and this also dehumidifies, which is cool. So this thermostat does a lot of functions with a communicating furnace, but dehumidifies. So here you can actually control humidification through this controller, but the problem is I don't think it can integrate with the unit we have, if that makes sense. We'll look at it more on the furnace side, and I'll explain down there why I just don't think this is going to work. It would be nice if it did, but I don't think it's going to work. Alright, I think I figured out a way to do this to the thermostat. So this furnace, these 2 models, they have an option here on the board. Basically says hum. So here, this also does dehumidifier. So you can, on the thermostat, you can dehumidify. Essentially what that does, it'll just lower the blower speed to dehumidify the air. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about this. So line voltage accessories, electronic air cleaner, and humidifier. So the furnace itself, if the thermostat calls for humidity, it will tell the furnace, and the furnace will turn it on and off. I think that's what I'm reading from this. So basically we're going to change, we're not even going to use the control from the humidifier. It's already mounted, there's already a hole, so I guess I can just power it on and then monitor, humidity down here too. I don't know. But that way I don't have to run wires from the thermostat to the furnace. I don't have to run wires from the humidistat to, not thermostat, the humidistat to furnace and humidistat to outdoor air temp, because it already has all that. So let's get to this. So we're gonna see, when used with a communicating thermostat, the hum terminals are closed when there's a call for humidity, when this feature is enabled in the communicating thermostat. So that's already turned on. We can access the humidity I showed you on the prior video on the thermostat. So I'm assuming it's a little convoluted here, but 24-volt humidifier can be powered by feeding one of the hum terminals with the field installed wire from the R terminal. What? And then over here it shows the diagram. Basically there's 2 hum leads on the board in here. So one of those is going to go to our transformer, the other one is going to go to L1, and the other leg of the transformer is going to go to neutral on the board. So when the furnace will turn the transformer on and off on the humidifier. So let's try that, see if it works, and go from there. So here's our box here. Our transformer is mounted on the side. The yellow wires go up to the humidifier. That turns on the pump and everything. And I'm assuming it turns on the blower, or whatever, the fan in there. So this needs to get powered. This needs to go through the box, through the furnace, through the pass-through, and then to this lower side, the low voltage side. So get that out of the way. And then, like I was saying, here's where the wires are for the thermostat, and the AC unit, I think, is on here too. There's just, all it says is 1, 2, R, and C. That's all there is. And then this thing has like block offs like that, and it actually came with more connectors, so depending upon what kind of system you're running, you've got your other connectors here. But we're running a communicating thermostat, so this is what we have to use. And then yeah, there's only R and, what was it, R and C, right? Yeah, 1, 2, R, C. So that's all we got. But what we do have over here is the hum, like the manual, and then right next to it we have, was that the no, the air cleaner, 2 over, so we're going to use one of these lines, that's L1, and then neutral's over here. So we're going to wire this up, and then the furnace essentially should, or the control board should control our humidifier when the thermostat calls for humidity. Alright, here's our final jumper. This is going to go L1 to hum, and then we have a red 14 gauge from the other side of hum to our transformer, and then the white neutral side goes to the neutral on here. So I'm getting pretty excited. I'm hoping this is going to work. All the power's off, obviously, so I don't get electrocuted or blow anything up. So here's our jump from hum to L1. Right here. Okay, now that should do it. Let me power everything on, and we'll see if the thermostat calls for humidity, and if the furnace turns on the transformer, which turns on the humidifier. Okay, moment of truth. We're going to flip on the furnace, and see the light is on in there. Oh, on. And we'll see once this powers up if in fact our transformer gets energized and we get some movement from our humidifier. Give it a second. I'll turn it on once it powers on. Oh, look at that! Furnace is powering on. Our humidifier is on. Fan's blowing. Oh, this is working. This is working. Alright, back to the thermostat. So as you can see, heat is on. Let's go to menu, humidification. So now it's measuring 37% and we want 50. So we know, and then we can see, okay, that's just a timer. There's more settings, advanced settings I'll get into later. But for now, let's try turning it off. So 30% is lower than 37. That should cut off the humidifier. Let's go check. And it's off. You can see the water draining out. So I can't do it live because I'm on my phone, and I can use my phone to directly connect to the thermostat. So I'll turn it back on with my phone and then bring the video back. Okay, I turned it on the thermostat, but now you'll notice the blower's not on because the heat's not on. So I wonder if this only worked. Nope. Wow, look at that. So it looks like this will kick on even if it's not actively heating. And you can see actually this blower spinning at a very slow speed. So whether this will kick up or not, I'm not sure. But it looks like it can call, so that's one of the settings I was talking about. In the thermostat, you can set it up so that the humidifier can call for, oh, it's not spinning anymore. You can set it up so that the humidifier can basically turn on with no heat, no fan, fan only. There's a bunch of different variants that you can do. So now I'm just curious. It should turn on the blower because you want the blower at least partially going when the humidifier is blowing, but I'm not sure. We'll have to look into that, but it's working, so that's awesome. Alright, so the fan did kick on. This is actually just for the vent, not the blower. I'm an idiot. This is just for the cold air intake from outside and then the power vent back outside the house. So humidifier's running. Heat, I don't think the heat is on. So this is working as intended. Now the problem is when you have it set up this way, when it's not heating, you're supposed to run hot water into the humidifier. So I'm gonna have to change the saddle valve to the hot water feed, so that in this instance, when the circulation fan is running, it's not cold on cold. And if you do it that way, they recommend that you use hot water in the humidifier. If you only run the humidifier when the heat is running, you can use hot or cold, doesn't matter. So I'm going to switch the saddle valve, move the line, water line to hot water, and you can see it starting to drain here a little bit. And then button everything up, and I think we're done. So thanks for watching this part. The other furnace I was working on is a non-communicating furnace, so it's just going to be opposite of this. And we're actually going to hook up the thermostat. Now, not the thermostat, humidistat. Now, the only thing I can do with this really is run a 2-wire to RC, so this powers on and we can get like live humidity while we're in the basement. That's really the only thing this can. I can actually move these and use these 2 yellow ones if they're long. I don't think they're long enough. Either way, you get what I'm saying. We could just get rid of this entirely, but it came with the unit, so it's already here. We might as well use it. This will be in play on the other furnace we're doing, and I guess I can add that onto this video, because we're going to be using these wires, and this unit is going to manipulate the furnace or the circuit board on that other furnace. But this one, since the thermostat is smarter than the humidistat, and it all works together through data lines and stuff, this is a lot easier, a lot less wires we got to run. So all I'm going to do now, like I said, is switch the cold water to hot water, and I think we're golden on this one. Alright, before I forget, I want to go into those settings in the thermostat. So here you see humidification, the type, bypass, or fan powered is what we got. You can also pick steam. Which sensor will be used? Basically, if you have other room sensors, it'll use those, the wireless sensors. Window protection on, so it'll protect so the windows don't get wet based on the outside temperature. This menu kind of sucks. System modes allowing humidification, so it's either heat or off basically. And then here's what I was talking about, humidification control. So you can pick humidity only when the heat is on, only when the fan is on, and then humidity on demand. So thermostat, this is going to control the fan, whereas you can also pick humidity on demand. Equipment controls fan. Well, our equipment can control the fan. And I'm assuming that means our humidifier equipment, unless that means the furnace. That I don't know. I'll have to check the manual, but those are the options for that. Dehumidification, like I mentioned. This just turns the fan blower lower to take the humidity more easily out of the air, so it's not just blowing through it, full speed. And then it's got like away modes and all sorts of different stuff, so that's stuff you can mess with. We will save, and we're going to see if this really, how well this works. We've got, oops, it's supposed to go there. We got this cranked up all the way to 55. So we're at 40. We'll see what it does, if it can get there and all that kind of stuff. Done. Bam, boom. Alright, job done. We've got this set to manual mode so it doesn't freak out. Not this, but it's inside under the panel. We're showing 37% humidity in the return. It's showing 42 at the thermostat, so we got about 5% differential from the actual living room to the cold air return. So that's good to keep in mind in case we basically, if we want 45 to 50, we're going to have to put in 55 in the thermostat, so we get that extra 5%. But we'll check that as it goes. And then I got wire nuts coming, so I've got those tiny gray ones for this, and I'll tape that up and then zip tie everything else to the gas line. And that's it. So let's move on to that other unit. Alright, we're back to the second unit here, as you can see, and I figured out what I'm going to do. This one does not have a communicating thermostat. The furnace is very similar, but a little bit different. So essentially what it says here, long story short, is you can wire the humidifier to the control board of the furnace, so we don't need any wiring. We don't need to put the humidistat anywhere. We can just use this. The only problem is it's only activated with a heat demand. That's it. Or off, or cycling, independent of heat demand. So I think what we're going to do, because for this place we just need the humidifier to work when the heat's on during the day. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to tie into this, and then it's going to turn on when the heat is on. So that's it. It does say here the control can provide additional humidification features when wired to communicating thermostat 12 RC, like the last video we did. If the communicating thermostat is not capable of providing humidification call, this dedicated relay will function exactly as mentioned above with the legacy setup. 3 modes of operation. If the communication... Alright, so I think that's it. Here's the board. Here's our humidifier between neutral and hum. Similar. And then hum in, L1. It's going to be the similar jump, I believe. So we'll open it up and see what it looks like, but it's looking like that. So all we got to do now for this, we're just going to run the water line to an existing cold water saddle valve, because we don't need it's not going to be coming on with, what am I trying to say? It's not going to come on with just the fan, so we don't need hot water. So that's that, and then all we really got to do then is get these 2 wires into the control panel, and that's it. The furnace will control everything. We just have to mount the transformer probably somewhere just on the panel itself. You can drill through the panel and then mount the transformer there, and then just make sure the line voltages are on the line voltage area, which is usually up here, which is where the line voltage comes in. And then our drain is going to be simple. We'll just tie into this one and basically make another vent, and then just put a T in a vent, and then 2 feet up. And then the plug, like I said before, we'll put an outlet somewhere, but for now it can go into that extension cord, which goes to an outlet. And then the thermostat and the system has an outside air temp sensor. That's not going to be in play because we don't need automatic control of like window condensation. So that's it. Okay, here we have our transformer mounted. We got the lines coming in, coming down. One white, one red. Our white is going to go into this neutral panel right here. where it says neutral. And then I think the positive is going to go to hum out, and that's going to energize 115 volts whenever the blower or the heater turns on. We will see. Hum in is, I think, for communicating thermostat, kind of how we did in the other one where we jumped a line from L to hum in or something like that, if I remember correctly. But we'll see what happens. Alright, we got the white hooked up to neutral. Hum out goes to the transformer, and then hum in, you have to jump from 120 volts, the line, to hum in here. The reason they do that is because if you don't need 120 volts, you need 24. You jump hum into the R terminal, which is only 24 volts. So that should do it. And then when it calls for heat, humidifier should turn on. Okay, we've got our call for heat, and that triggers the humidifier. So this job is done. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, if I did anything wrong or you do differently, let me know. I just got to obviously hook up the drain here, and then our vent is up. Drain 2.5 foot line right up. And then, alright, so after a couple of days of the system running, unfortunately, I'm going to have to install the Humidistat because the maximum humidity we get is about 30%, which is okay, but we need a little bit higher. So the reason, even with hot water, just the reason is because only when the heat kicks on, the humidifier turns on. So we need this unit to automatically turn on the blower even if there's no heat called, and then this is what's going to get us, you know, the extra 10 to 15% humidity, so 40, 45, somewhere in that range. And then this is going to be real simple. Looks like we're going to have to install, my lens is not foggy, looks like we're going to have to install it somewhere here. Unfortunately, it's kind of low, it's kind of dumb looking, but we can install it down here because that's where the filter is. It has to be before the blower assembly and the flame and all that, which is here. So that really gives us only the space inside of here to put it. And like I said, this is the only cold air duct we have access to. Everything else is underground, so we can't install this easily, you know, on a duct somewhere else. So that's what we're stuck with. But the wiring runs are going to be short. I mean, it's basically right here through here, and we're in there with our 18 gauge, and then up to the transformer, which is right here. And then we'll just have to run an outdoor temp sensor wire, the 2-wire, you know, probably up, and then I think pop out somewhere by the door. There's a vent here. We can sneak it out there. So not too bad. But yeah, we'll get started with that now. So we got the control panel mounted here, sideways. A little bit odd, but it's kind of away from the blower enough. You know, right in here, I don't think it'll be disturbed. And then you got this insulation. We'll see how it works. The other option is to do a communicating thermostat. So basically, we'd use the 1, 2, and the RC wires to the thermostat. But I don't know how that's going to affect anything else on the system. Like there's a bypass, like a cold air bypass thing, and the AC unit on the roof. I don't know if that's communicating or not, and I don't know if it'll work, frankly. So we'll see how this works. I can always add like a tube, essentially to isolate the airflow, and then like run the tube down further, kind of dampen the effects of the air. But again, we'll see. We'll just see how it works. I didn't want to put it like right in front of the blower, you know, back there, centered or anything that might cause just more turbulence in the air. So, next step, we are going to rewire the transformer because that cannot be powered by the board anymore. The transformer needs constant voltage, so we're tying into the switch, the main power for the furnace here. And then we'll have to reroute the low voltage wires again one goes, you know, this unit kind of intercepts the wires basically, and then spits it out back to the humidifier. Alright, so here's what we got. Shortest run ever, you know, 2 feet of wire from the humidistat to the furnace. So we've got our 8 wires here, 2, 4, 6, 8. And then we're going to refer to our wiring diagram once again. And this is what we got to follow. So I'm going to hook it up according to the diagram. And that's that. Alright, our wiring is pretty much complete. I'll give you a quick rundown here. So we've got R and C going into the existing R and C. And we've intercepted the green wire from the thermostat. So this goes back to the humidistat, and then this black wire is now the new green wire, and the black comes from the humidistat. We're tapped into the white here, and that's it. So coming back here, if we look at it this way, we've got our RC, our white, our green from the thermostat, and then we've got our, why is this look so bad? I gotta get rid of this. I hate this little fuzzy thing. I gotta fix that wire as well. It's a little messy, but you get the idea. I don't know why it's like stripping itself. And then the humidifier. So humidifier, or the transformer, we've got the white and the red, and then the black. Here's the black coming out of this humidistat going to the furnace. So the green signal is just the fan, I believe. It intercepts the thermostat and then kicks out a new fan signal to the furnace from this thing. So we'll kind of see how that all works out. But basically, yeah, that's how that works. So then we got the red and white going to the transformer. Now on this, we're just using this red wire here is going up to the humidifier. And then this red wire is going back to the humidistat here. And then the other white wire is going up to the other end of the humidifier from the panel. So we're not using, we're using both wires, 2 different wires. So one length here and then one length here. And then we're just splitting the signal essentially. So at this point we can actually power it on. We don't have the outdoor temp sensor hooked up, because we got to run that still. So what we could do is run this in manual mode. We'll just have to disconnect power before we switch it back to auto, but it'll at least work in manual mode and detect the humidity and all that, and it should work. So I'll try that, see what happens, and then I'll run the outdoor temp sensor so we can put it on auto mode. Alright, so let's flip the switch, see what happens here. Boom. Got our nice blue light here. And it's showing 48% humidity, which is odd because actually, so this is the issue. This HVAC room is actually kind of like an exterior pod. So I'm quite concerned that it's detecting the humidity from outside. But we'll see what happens once this starts cycling and we're getting air from inside. But that could be an issue because we are getting outside air here. And if that is happening, we might have to move this entire thing inside of the building. Well, this is a pain in my butt because it's detecting 52% humidity when there's only 20% inside. So I think it's picking up the humidity from this room, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to have to install this somewhere inside near the, what's it called, thermostat. And then what I'll have to do, I'll just have to run another wire from here to the thermostat inside the building so I can basically wire nut all these together. And then, this is going to be extended into the building so we can get actual humidity, not, humidity in this room, which is quite unfortunate. So, yeah. Alright, we finally finished the project. Here's the humidistat, kind of settling down, coming down a bit. Here's the thermostat, reading 31. Basically, I ran a new 18.8 or whatever I think it is, all the way to here, and then I just did a little jump from the humidistat to the thermostat. Powered the thermostat off of this unit, and then we have some extra wires that I'll wrap up and all that good stuff, but everything's functioning, we're good. Now this is picking up humidity in the building, which is much lower than outside. As you can see, outside's reading 66 on here. Still reading 31 here based on this thermostat. I'm assuming this is going to come down equalize once all the humidity gets off the sensor. It adjusts to the inside temp. So that's it. We're good. Thanks for watching. If you have any other questions, let me know.